Shirley Temple remains an icon of Hollywood's golden age, her blonde curls and dimpled smile epitomizing childhood joy on the silver screen. But behind the scenes, Temple endured exploitation and distress at the hands of the very industry that profited from her talents. Join FactsVerse as we uncover disturbing truths about Shirley Temple's traumatic path to stardom. Temple endured inappropriate films and cruel punishments as a toddler. At only 3 years old, Shirley Temple starred in a series of inappropriate short films called Baby Burlesques. The films featured toddlers dressed in revealing costumes and diapers, playing adult roles that satirized major Hollywood movies and celebrities of the time. In one short titled War Babies, Temple appeared dressed as a prostitute named Charmaine, wearing thick makeup and a small bra, interacting in a sexually suggestive manner with male characters. She's seen entering a scene sashaying her hips before kissing a child actor playing a senator on the lips. Temple later condemned the films as a cynical exploitation of childish innocence. Even worse, the child actors faced cruel punishments if they misbehaved on set. The director, Charles Lamont, kept kids in a windowless punishment box, forcing them to sit uncomfortably on blocks of ice in the dark and cramped space. Temple herself was locked in this traumatic box several times as discipline. She claimed it did no lasting psychological damage, but taught that wasted time meant money lost and trouble on set for producers. Producer Arthur Freed exposed himself to 12-year-old Temple. At just 12 years old, in 1940, Temple had a deeply disturbing encounter with powerful MGM producer Arthur Freed. During her initial visit to Freed's office, the older man exposed himself to the young actress while they were alone, telling her he had something made just for her. Temple nervously giggled before Freed angrily threw her out of his office. At the time, Freed was in his late 30s and already an established force in Hollywood musicals, going on to produce classics like Singin' in the Rain, An American in Paris, Gigi, and The Wizard of Oz. The fact that this known sexual predator could retain his esteemed and influential position reveals the industry's complicity in enabling such famous men to abuse minors. Power dynamics allowed figures like Freed to take advantage of aspiring young performers desperate to succeed in Hollywood, while studio dependence and age prevented child actors like Temple from speaking out about mistreatment. David O. Selznick attempted to assault her. When Temple was 17 in 1945, she had an unsettling encounter with powerful producer David O. Selznick in his office at his production company, Selznick International Pictures. Selznick already had a reputation for improper behavior with young actresses. An artistic director at his company warned Temple beforehand to be careful if she found Selznick in stockings. In her memoir, Temple reportedly stated she was under the impression that casual sex might be a condition of employment with Selznick. During a private meeting, he locked his office door before making an aggressive sexual advance. Selznick suddenly opened his trousers and lunged at Temple, groping at her body. Thankfully, she was able to use her dancer's agility and dodge him until he gave up. She realized that for influential men like Selznick, forcing teenage actresses to have sex seemed a casual, expected workplace demand. Graham Greene wrote disturbing sexual reviews about child Temple. Even as a child, Temple faced inappropriate sexual objectification from reviewers critiquing her films. British novelist Graham Greene wrote a series of troubling reviews focused on sexualizing her body and performance. In a 1936 review of Captain January, when Temple was just 8, Greene specifically commented on her neat and well-developed rump as she performed in the tap dance. In a review a year later for Wee Willie Winkie, Greene made more disturbing observations that could be interpreted as pedophilic. He wrote that Temple, wearing short kilts, is a complete Tootsie, and commented on how she measures a man with agile studio eyes with dimpled depravity. He claimed adult male viewers were drawn to her dubious coquetry and desirable little body. His words emphasized the environment of predatory attitudes that Temple regularly faced in Hollywood. His position as an esteemed critic enabled him to publish such harmful sexualized views about a child actress to wide audiences. Temple responded by filing a successful libel lawsuit against Greene and the magazine that printed his pieces. Temple faced constant sexual harassment. Throughout her entire career, Shirley Temple faced a constant pattern of inappropriate groping, threats, and terrorization at the hands of Hollywood figures in positions of power over her career. In a memoir, she described episodes of sexual harassment from studio executives. A man whom Temple referred to as the Wizard explicitly told her that engaging in sexual activity was a casual expectation in the workplace, likening it to drinking a glass of water when thirsty. When Temple rebuffed his advances, he warned her ominously that they would have to get along and that what he had in mind was merely a workplace formality. Even beloved comedian George Jessel once horrifically attempted to sexually assault her in his office. The young actress recalled having to constantly reject unwanted advances and aggressive contact from these influential industry figures. Temple's father squandered her millions. Despite being the world's highest-paid child star, Temple did not get to keep most of her earnings. By 1935, at age 7, she was making $50,000 per movie, the equivalent of over $1 million today. Her contract entitled her to bonuses between $15,000 and $35,000 per completed film. However, she only had access to about $13 per month as pocket money. In total, she earned an estimated $3.2 million as an actress. But when she turned 22, she discovered her savings only contained $44,000. Her father George, who became her manager, had misused her earnings and spent lavishly from her fortune on himself. He failed to properly set up court-ordered trust funds to protect her finances. In her memoir, The Forgiving Temple described his financial ineptitude with surprising dispassion, feeling neither anger nor disappointment over this betrayal. She suffered an abusive first marriage. In 1945, at age 17, she married actor John Agar, who soon revealed a dark side. Over their 5-year marriage, Agar physically and mentally abused Temple. The former soldier struggled with alcoholism and was prone to violence when drinking. Temple's daughter later described Agar as someone who was charming when sober, ugly when drunk. He cheated on Temple repeatedly and was frequently arrested for drunk driving. Temple finally filed for divorce in 1949, citing mental cruelty as the cause. She worked to shield her young daughter from Agar's abuse during their marriage. Temple showed strength, leaving him despite the stigma of divorce at the time. But the relationship added more pain and trauma to a childhood already filled with mistreatment. Even after gaining more independence at 17, she continued to be victimized by predatory men. A stalker's attempt to murder her. Stardom also made Temple a target of mentally ill stalkers, like the woman who tried to assassinate her at age 11. On the MGM lot in 1939, a middle-aged woman suddenly threw lye in Temple's face and struggled to pull out a handgun. A quick-thinking guard wrestled the gun away. The crazed attacker later explained she believed Temple had somehow stolen her daughter's soul. While physically unharmed, the encounter shook Temple. She traveled with an armed guard for months afterwards due to a public obsession over child stars. Now it's time to hear from you. What are your thoughts on Shirley Temple's darkest chapters? Let us know in the comments section below.